Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com, here with match number 1 in the Standard League with the Mardu Enchantments. Yes, I'd like to play first. I think that this is a very acceptable hand. It's not good, but it's acceptable with 5 lands. This deck tends to like as many lands as possible. It'd be a lot better if we had a Shambling Vent rather than one of these other lands, but we can go ahead and play a Nomad Outpost into play tapped, and then, or we could even go with the Helm of the Gods, but I think that we could just go ahead and keep this, go over the Nomad Outpost, and then play a turn 2 Hangerback Walker. So it's not ideal. Well, this is fine. We do need to avoid drawing into more land drops. Next turn, we can just play a Plains, and then I still think it's Hangerback Walker. So it's going to be a Canopy, Vista, and then a Quarantine Field is good. We do need some removal. So I think we'll just Hangerback. 4-1. And then pass the turn to our opponent. And next turn we can just play the pump up the Hangerback route and put out a Helm of the Gods, which can... Helm of the Gods I like playing as a one of in this deck just for the main reason that it can make any Hangerback Walker token or a retreat token a threat. So there, speaking of retreat tokens, we have a retreat. So I think we'll just go ahead and put another Plains, throw a Helm of the Gods out, and then pass the turn. So can't really do anything against a Jace at the moment. We have Silk Wraps galore to deal with Jaces in the main board, actually. And then sideboard, we don't get a lot of help versus Jace. So this looks like it could be Bant tokens. Now it's definitely some sort of 4 or 5 color deck with Jace. Still looks to me like some sort of just Bant value deck. I think they're going to be running the Night of the White Orchard. I think they just run these for value, or this could be a rally deck. This could easily be a rally deck. But we'll go ahead and pump up a Hangerback to a 2-2. And we have to worry about Silk Wraps. Gideon's a beautiful draw here. We can go Smoldering Marsh. And then we'll go Gideon. And go ahead and attack with the Hangerback Walker. He probably wants a Visionary in the graveyard. No, he does not. So Gideon's going to be quite aggressive. We have a Quarantine Field that can come up that can take care of any problematic card. I can also retreat and put out a land to put out a token. Or pump up. We'll have to wait and see how we want to do this. We end up having really good draws. This does look like it's going to be a rally deck. We have decent cards versus rally decks because we do have Silk Wraps that can exile key cards like Zulaport Cutthroat. The one problematic card that we do have is going to be his sack outlets, because the sack outlets can protect versus any sort of like quarantine type effect. And we can see we can Quarantine Field a Zulaport Cutthroat or a Jace. We'll have to wait and see how he wants to do this. I can just utter end a Zulaport Cutthroat and then go in at Jace, make him block. And actually make Gideon attacking as well. See, Quarantine Field I don't want to use quite yet, or I would rather use. So I think it's going to be utter end right now. On the Jace still. I think I'm going to just do it right now. Get Jace out of the way. And then I think I'd still rather get out some tokens, because they do become... Yeah. I can make him into... I could pump up Gideon. I don't think I want to do anything here. I think I just want to put out a Knight and pass a turn. The later this game goes, the more of an advantage our opponent has. But I don't want to be attacking into the Visionaries because he might just be trying to use a rally and then get some value out of the Visionaries. And another Zulaport card. This is going to be beautiful if I draw into a land. I hate to have him have his sack outlet, though. And it isn't a black source. So I want him to tap out here and then draw into a land. That'd be ideal. But he does not tap out. And I guess I'll just throw a counter on the Hangerback Walker. Another Quarantine Field. Again, that is less than ideal at the moment. Because we can only get one Zulaport Cutthroat. But I might just attack him with Gideon, because at this point, getting an emblem out is huge. Or just attacking with everything rather than leaving back. I think I'll actually just burn this Quarantine Field, since we have a backup one that can get rid of 2. And get rid of one of the Zulaport Cutthroats. And equip on a knight. And I think we just swing in with everything here. And he does get them in the graveyard. But this kind of shows me he doesn't have a rally if he wants to keep the Zulaport Cutthroat alive. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of options to be able to kill the graveyard. I mean, this is one of the harder matchups for the Mardu enchantments. I mean, we do have ways to get rid of Zulaports. And the 4-color rally seems to be a little bit easier than the 3-color or the Abzan version. So the Abzan seems more streamlined with being able to get out the sack outlets. Here's a Bloodstained Mire. I think we'll cast the Retreat, because he can rally at any point. But if he burns a rally, I'm fine with it. I think we actually do just make Gideon big one more time. And try to go for lethal here. So here's the rally. But a rally for just 2 Elvish Visionaries isn't the strongest play. Does get him 2 cards. So close to lethal here. So close. Because if we were to Bloodstained Mire, it would be additional 2 damage. So maybe I should have just got a token instead. A 5 cards still in our opponent's hands. We've got a Gideon that's up to 6. We have a Hangerback Walker. So the Haruspex is actually really good, but I can Quarantine Field both the Zulaport Cutthroat and the Haruspex. So I'm just going to get a Smoldering Marsh here. And we'll put out a 1/1. There's a Butcher, but it'll just be another Quarantine Field for all of our mana. And now if he's got another Rally, it's quite weak. And here I can just Rally. No matter how I do it, I think I win. So, yep. There is the concession. So we need Transgress. The mine does not hit Rally. It actually doesn't hit quite a few cards because it's 3 or greater. I'm not even quite sure if Radiant Flames is good. We have to go over the top of our opponent. Like these Stasis Snares are still fine. The Silk Wraps are good too. Suspension Field not so much. Starfield and Nyx could be one of those cards that could just overwhelm our opponent. Outpost Siege I think is nice if we can go the later game route with the Outpost Siege. Not quite sure I need Helm of the Gods. Or if we want to go, again, if we want to go more of the Starfield Nyx route, I think I do. I'm not... Radiant Flames is very awkward because it doesn't exile. And Surge of Righteousness, Transgress. Transgress can actually get the Grim Haruspex and it can also get the sack outlet. So Transgress actually might be really good here because it gets rid of 2 key cards. So Obnixilis I think is just too slow. Citadel Siege is aggressive. Quarantine Fields are fine. Butchers are fine. Crackling Dooms are not good here. So Crackling Dooms can come out. I guess the Helm of the Gods can come out because it might just not be aggressive enough. And maybe I don't need Outpost Sieges to try to keep up. I mean, it is a control route, and I do need to get higher than the opponent. The Wasteland Stranglers are actually quite weak. Yeah, Wasteland Stranglers are bad in this matchup because they do give back a card that I don't want to be giving back to our opponent. So I think Obnixilis is just better. And we kind of go this this is the package I like to run against control. And I would have to think that this is more of a control-based deck. And that way, the whole wild card here is this Helm of the Gods over like an Outpost Siege. I could actually cut a land just because I know this game's going to go on for a bit longer, so it gives me time to draw. So I'm just kind of evolving wilds, I guess, for the Helm. Not quite sure if that's the right play or not, but we're on this. Sometimes I like to take out a land on the play or on the draw because you get an additional draw. And so odds-wise, an 8-card starting hand is a lot more likely to have the amount of lands you need than a 7-card starting hand. But the Stasis Snares, this Quarantine Fields, the suspension, or the not suspension fields, but the Silk Wraps are all very good against this deck. Our opponent could have brought in anti-enchantments. What I like about this deck so much is it has so many angles to attack your opponent. It kind of gives them bad situations. I think we keep this. We have 3 lands. This is actually pretty good. Butcher is quite weak actually in this matchup. Well, it's aggressive, but I think that out of all of our finishers, Butcher's the weakest one in this. So I like the Outpost Siege, I like the double Quarantine Fields if we can find some lands. This just made it that much juicier with a Hangerback Walker. Now we have some action. Hangerback and Butcher are just incredible synergy. Here I think he needs to go get... Ooh, he has no green source or white source at the moment. And there's the Jace. Jace is going to be... A turn 2 Jace is going to be a bit of an issue. So I actually would like to find like a Shambling Vent off the top here. Next turn, since we don't really have a play, and pumping up our Hangerback Walker probably seems like the best route to go. Finding cards pretty well with Jace. And a Duress can find a Quarantine Field. It's fine though. Like this is the thing. If he's going to be siding in Duresses, then he's going to be taking out particular cards that might... He takes the Outpost Siege. That's interesting that he takes the Outpost Siege. And yeah, so Elvish Visionaries, he's just going to start putting all the draw cards in the bin. Stasis Snare can actually get rid of a Jace. I think that's actually the right play. We'll get in there for one. He already got value out of the Jace. Had to throw away a visionary. We need to find one more land. I think I start using these quarantine fields practice. Since I have two of them, if I draw one more land here, I'll quarantine field whatever he puts out. Yeah, we absolutely... Well, that one we can't quarantine field. So, unfortunately, we don't get a play here. We're just going to have to throw a Hangerback Walker token. And the Husk is quite hard for us to deal with. It protects all of his cards. But we do have an aggressive hand. If we can get the Hangerback on 2, we can start sacrificing things to the Butcher and keep above the life total we need to keep above, because they try to drain you with this deck with Zulaport Cutthroat. Now I'll probably force the Haruspex out of there. There's another Jace. I mean, you eat them with an Antuco Husk. But I do need to draw a land next turn. He's got a great... Yeah, so we are actually going to target the Grim Haruspex, and he should eat it here. Yep. Because he needs it to... he needs it to go to his graveyard so he can get it back with a rally. Unfortunately, the other Jace is going to give him a lot of... card advantage. I think at this point we just want to go for as aggressive as possible to the face. Stasis Snare can get rid of his Nantuko Husk, but again, that's not the line of play. We are going to... Butcher. See if I can tap my lands correctly. There's the red. Butcher the Horde. Sack the Hangerback Walker to give haste. And just go directly to the face. And we have another Butcher next turn to do the same thing. Neither the Catacomb isn't as powerful as I think he might just plus Jace here, yeah, to make the Butcher weaker. I think that's fine. There's an Outpost Siege. I just think it's another Butcher. Try to put him on the ropes. And this is 9 damage with flying. I'm not quite sure he can survive the onslaught. It's exactly 9. And yep. Pull that one out. That's why I really like the Butcher. It's a very aggressive card that it kind of reminds me of decks in the past that changed tempo. Like, this is a control deck. Mardu Enchantments does try to control the board, but you always have that nagging feeling that you can be out-aggroed by a Butcher and the Hangerback Walker combo, which you certainly can. This deck, I think, if you were to compare it with anything, it's very similar to Abzan control, where almost like the old-school Elspeth Abzan control, where The Siege Rhino is really meant to stabilize. A few of these other cards, Absent Charm, were meant to stabilize, but sometimes you just get that draw where you cast in a Siege Rhino and then Absent Charm it to make a Siege Rhino that's huge, a 6/7 trample, and then just a few turns later, the Siege Rhino can just win the game, and that's kind of how this deck does. The Butcher can play the same role as the Siege Rhino by getting lifelink and having that 5-point life swing against aggressive decks. So we're 1-0 now, and this is in the league. We'll see how far this takes us in the league. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.